All right, cool. I think we're live. All right, but just so everyone knows, like this is a new thing for me. I've never done the whole online stuff before, so I don't know. We'll see how it goes. And you're one of my favorite guests to have on as well, because I
Oh,
think you're
stop.
one of the better conversationalists out there, and you can
Stop
just
it.
chat. You can just chat shit for many hours. Good shit
Okay.
though, like real good shit.
You're definitely one of my favorite hosts, bro. So I'm glad to
Probably
be on
the only host, right?
for the time, cuz.
But I wanted to say, man, like, how the fuck have you been dealing with all this shit? Like, I know I know we hate talking about it, and I'm kind of over it at this point. But it's like hard not to talk about it. But like, I mean, because you're in the physio business, right? So there's obviously a lot of contact involved. How have you guys been getting around it?
Yeah. So I think for me, or for us, it was more so from a business perspective, how we're going to actually keep our head above water, and how we're going to make sure that we can keep our doors open and I can keep employing. Because I've got 15 staff. Like, the last thing I wanted to do was send anyone home or kind of or terminate anyone. And the government subsidies and stuff are actually quite hard to access. They seem really generous, but they're actually quite hard to number one qualify for, and number two, the whole issue with these, or from my perspective, from the JobKeeper payments is the 1,500 a fortnight is actually reimbursed to the employer. So in that 3-month period, you actually still need to fork it out, even if they're not there. So if you're a small, medium business and you've got a cash flow problem, you've still got to fork out money every fortnight, $1,500. And if you've got 10 staff, you're talking 15K a fortnight, and you're only getting reimbursed after 3 months. So it's not the most accessible thing. And luckily for us, we've kind of put in different safety nets and procedures and precautions to make sure that, one, everyone's safe at work, and two, we're still getting enough business. So we seem
it's
to
still
be coming
going
out the
ahead.
other side of it.
You guys are still going.
Yeah, we're still going. So, and I was lucky enough, I didn't have to sack anyone. I actually had a pretty hard conversation with everyone. I basically said, guys, you can see the world around us. You can see a lot of your own mates have been made redundant or put off indefinitely, and some of my best mates were put off as well. And I basically said, you can either, all between you can choose one person for me to sack. So like basically like a survivor type situation, everyone vote, or everybody can take a 5-hour cut for the next.
Did you actually say that? Did you actually do like a whole survivor thing?
Absolutely. I said, look, either we all take a cut. I said, me including, like, I'll take a cut as well, to make sure that we all stay together and stay as a family, and make sure that we're still in business at the other side. Or I can sack one person. I said, I know I don't want to sack anyone. And I don't think you guys want to be culpable or responsible for sending somebody home. So it's either that, or we all take a 5-hour pay cut, and then it'll be the same thing in the end.
Yeah. It's a ballsy move, though. Imagine one guy's gone, just fucking John over there. He needs to get the fuck out of here.
Well, because if he did that, he'd be the fucking first cunt home if you pointed somebody else out. So.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Well, that's all right. I mean, like, but how do you do it with the whole contact thing, though? Like, are people just going out there, like, do your staff feel like kind of, I don't know, scared, I guess, like to be in contact with people?
I'm just going to break up. Nick. So
my other favorite guest.
So like Nick just came in and like flashed me. So I was trying not to laugh, and she would just flash me.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna put this on YouTube, Nick. So go for your life. You're gonna be famous.
No, so like with contact, man, like, so there's a few things. So one, in terms of social distancing, little things like in my waiting room in Blacktown, I normally have 5 seats. I only kept 2, and the other 3 I put outside, and I kept them 2 meters apart. Normally we'd have, sometimes 3 or 4 physios on at once. I just made sure that we'd have 2 at most, and the cubicles in between would always have a space, so you'd never actually be treating side by side. You always have cubicle in space, cubicle space.
Right.
Like gloves, masks, extra disinfectant, extra Glen 20, all that kind of normal stuff that everyone's been doing. Work cover in New South Wales and a few other like health insurance and Medicare started allowing us to do telehealth. So exactly what you're doing right now. Like, I might have patients that only come, once a month just to check up and see how they're going with a particular exercise or something. So rather than them actually coming in, I'll just Zoom or Skype and say, okay, well, show me how you do this. Let's review these couple of exercises, and that'll be enough. And at least that's another person that doesn't need to come in. So a few different ways.
Oh, that's pretty cool. At least you get around it, though. I thought it would have been completely called off, like in a sense that, like, just like human to human contact. But I guess you can work around it with masks and gloves and disinfectant and whatnot. Yeah. Well,
the thing with that is, man, like, imagine if, like, not only us, but imagine if they basically said to everybody, okay, no physio for 3 months. Like, there's new work cover claims every day. Like, there are people getting hurt at work every day, like crippling injuries where you got to make sure that at least in that period of time you can do something for them, because we all know that delayed treatment turns out to be longer treatment. So if you get somebody with acute back pain he hurt himself 2 days ago, you can normally fix it between maybe 2 and 4 weeks. Whereas if they come back after 2 months, it might take 6 months. So you're actually delaying their recovery process.
And they're out of work and whatnot. Yeah.
Out of work, you're putting extra strain on Medicare, you're putting extra strain on private health funds. Like, it's a long-term loss, to be honest.
Yeah, fair enough. I know this is I always like this question. Like, where do you? I think I'll like your answer. You always have good answers. But where do you think the future will go, though? In that sense, like, where do you think? Do you think people will change permanently? Like, do you think like the vibes is going to be different? Do you think partying will be different? Do you think like social events will be different?
Yeah, so there's a few things that are definitely going to be different. So one, like all of these kind of corporates that were leasing or owning or renting kind of big commercial spaces that were costing was probably one of their biggest overheads. All of a sudden, they've essentially forced to either A, cut their staff into Group A and Group B, where half the staff will go in 1 week and half will go in Group B, or everybody works from home. And if you're the director or if you're the CFO and you've noticed, well, hang on, our productivity has actually increased with everyone being at home, and we now have the option to either keep them at home or bring it back in, mate, you'll terminate your lease, your profits will go through the roof, the shareholders will be buzzing, and everybody gets to work from home. So there are a lot of industries that I think are going to be able to work that way. Partying, fuck, I don't know. I think partying will go back to where it was, or probably even worse. I think everyone's going to buzz when it comes out of this.
Yeah, I think people just misbehave, eh?
Oh, it's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be crazy. Like, I know I will. I know the boys will. Like, everyone's talking about it. Like, it's going to be a huge blow up. So it's going to be very, very important to see how the government actually polices it, especially off the back of things like even before this reducing like lockout laws. So even like the Cross and different kind of places were minimized. So that was starting to become a little bit more vibrant as well. So I think it's going to be a big party, man.
But I think it'll be a huge party. But I think that's a lot of the shit where that stuff gets carried around. You know what I mean? Like, people are hooking up, having sex, sharing drugs, whatever it is, like that's where that shit usually infests or kind of grows out of those places,
Absolutely. And the thing is, you're not going to be able to go overseas for at least, I reckon, another 6 to 12 months minimum.
So next year,
so borders are going to be closed. So all the guys that want to go party in Europe or in Asia, they're going to be stuck here. So the party's going to be here. Yeah,
for sure. And they probably had all this money ready to go too for Europe this year as well, or wherever they're going to go.
So people are going to blow it either way.
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy, man. It's just like, it's just a nuts thing, man. But yeah, I think people will definitely misbehave when they get out. But I don't know, like, do you think the vibe of just like human contact, do people think like they'll be still doing elbows and stuff? And,
man, like, you know what? Like, it's actually funny because now, like, even when I see, not my mates, but if I see like somebody I haven't seen in a while in the street, like even now you're still doing the fist bump. And I was kind of thinking, like, when are we going to stop doing that? Like, is that just going to be a thing we always do now?
I think it's going to be like from person to person. Like I went to go see a friend, and I went to see the whole family. Like half the family weren't doing anything, and then half the family would give me a big hug and kiss. I think it comes down to a personal thing and how much of a germaphobe you are, or how much you don't trust the other person or whatever.
Yeah, look, I just kind of know that, like, just based on our culture and the way we are, that by like October or November, there are going to be memes about like, how fucked up was COVID? Like, everyone just forgot about it, and then somebody just brings it back and like, what the fuck was that about?
Yeah. I was thinking about it too. Like, I was thinking about like when we get to like our kids and stuff, and we look back at like COVID. I'm like, bro, the COVID fucking brought me back from Europe. Like, fucking cancelled all my plans. Like that was a complete change of life direction for me.
Yeah. Global standstill. Like every country affected.
Dude, literally, man. Like everyone's in the same fucking. Same lockdown situation, but I don't know. They reckon like the pubs will be opening up soon again. From what I heard, I
don't know, it'll be one of the last things, man. I hope they do. But talking about that, I think that's where like all of the fist bumping and stuff will just not even exist. I think once people get back into clubs and pubs, I think you'll find everyone is just going to be so much more relieved that I think there's going to be a point, or maybe at least maybe I'm being optimistic, but maybe in the first 2 weeks or 3 weeks of being back, everybody is just going to be so familial and so friendly and so, thank fuck we actually made it out of that together. Totally. And I think it's actually going to be better.
Totally, yeah. I think it's going to be like, especially like the first few weeks at the pubs, just seeing everyone's faces and just being super happy and just ordering a drink and getting that first sip of beer, stone of wood and taking it down.
You're going to start shouting beers left, right and centre. There's no chance.
100%. Yeah, definitely. Oh man, I don't want to talk about it too much, but I just want to. What do you think of? Do you think? I don't want to go into conspiracies, but people who talk about conspiracies. I want to talk about. I don't know. Look, I think. Yeah. Sorry. Go on.
I love a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
I don't think there's one here.
They're fun.
I think the next time, honestly, bro, just the next time somebody asks you or somebody says to you, "Oh, fucking China did this," or somebody did this, ask them the question, "What is a virus?"
Yeah.
And just see what they say.
Yeah.
Like, how does a virus work? Where does it come from? See how much knowledge they actually have over what a virus is, and then you can decide if they're making an informed and educated decision, or if they're just another tinfoil hat wearing guy.
Right. Okay. Well, if I were to ask you what is a virus, and how would you go into explain and connect that to the whole COVID thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll give you an example in literature. So in 2007, I posted on my Instagram a little while ago. So as a physio, we need to stay up to date with different articles and different levels of research. And one of the niches or one of the kind of corners or corridors of physiotherapy is cardiorespiratory health. So breathing and lung and cardiopulmonary and lung health, right? And there was this one article that came out in 2007, which, and I think the title was something really spooky, like the emergence of cardiopulmonary illness out of southern China. And when you go and look into it, in the blurb or in the actual abstract, it was saying how in the horseshoe bat they found a bunch of these viruses pre-existing, and it's been known to have to existed before. And in combination with people in southern China having an appetite for this array of food, like this mysterious kind of exotic food, they were actually really worried then in 2007 about a breakout and about a pandemic essentially. And that's something that, was kind of hearsay at the time and nobody really cared about it. But all of a sudden, when you go back in history and you actually look at the literature and all these little warning signs, there was an issue before that we kind of
it was predicted.
Ignored. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's wild, man. So this is already a thing that people kind of saw coming regardless, you know what I mean?
Oh, when we saw SARS, we saw MERS, they're all part of the same family. Like, when you look at coronavirus, it's called corona because in Spanish or in Latin, that corona means crown, which is kind of that circular ring around it. But MERS and SARS both have the same structure, so they're quite similar in their appearance. So they're all types of coronaviruses, really.
Yeah. Man, it's fucking wild. But yeah, the whole conspiracy thing. It's always fun to. I don't know. I never like the people who bring it up, though. You know what I mean? They always seem to be the same type of cliche people. I'm not really hating. I don't want to hate on anyone who's going to watch it and go, no, bro, it's fucking this and that, But I don't know. It is fun to talk about. But enough about that. I feel like Corona's just taken over our lives. But I want people to chat about your Instagram page and the GoFundMe page of Heaps Good Reviews.
Well, Heaps Good Book Reviews, that's the one.
Yeah, right. Cool. If anyone wants to listen, I'll put it up on the captions if people want to have a look. Do you want to explain a little bit what it's about and what you do and how'd you come about it, really?
So on the back end of last year, I was just heaps busy with business and everything, and moving into a new house and honeymoon and getting married and stuff. And the last kind of year or so, I hadn't really been reading very much, and I've always read heaps. And I thought, I'll do something to keep myself a little bit more accountable this year. And I started a Instagram page called heapsgood.bookreviews. So basically my philosophy was I'm going to read a book every week. I'll do a video review about it, and I'm going to post a GoFundMe dedicated to the Australian Literacy and Numeracy Foundation. So they're basically the foundation which look after funding for underprivileged kids, particularly Indigenous kids, and particularly the Northern Territory. Right. So my goal was 20 grand. I was going to donate 10K to the Literacy Foundation, and the other 10K, I was just going to buy 10K worth of books and donate them to public schools around Western Sydney.
Nice.
So that's pretty much it, man. I was like, well, at least one, I stay accountable myself, and I'll make sure that I read. I'll do something a little bit more creative, especially because I've been so bogged down in business and everything else. And the other benefit is you get to donate a little bit of money as well.
Yeah, nice. I mean, like, where are you at now with it? I mean, that's a book a week, man. It takes me about a few months to finish one. I start maybe 5 books, and I don't finish all of them, and I get through half of all of them.
So
I'm that type of reader.
We're probably about 26 weeks into the year. I've read about 20. I've posted 8.
Yeah.
So I've got 12 up my sleeve that I still need to post, but I'm still 6 weeks behind. So I'm going to try to make up that time because there are a couple of books on my shelf that are 80, 90, 100 pages. So I'm going to try to knock a couple of those out before I get onto the big ones again. But with my most recent post, I've already picked out my top 4 for this month. So I've just started My first one this week, and I've got 3 more after that. So I'm just going to try to make that a trend that at the start of every month, I'm just going to post the 4 that I'm going to do. And then I encourage other people, if you've got a book that you hate or love or you think is really interesting, or you think, fuck, maybe should I read that book, but I don't know anything about it. Like, inbox me, I'll read it for you, and I'll tell you if it's any good or what I think, and then you can decide if you want it or not.
Are you pushing yourself in this? Like, I mean, a book a week, that's massive. I mean, like, you know, I enjoy reading, but I am more of a what I feel like reading guy. You know what I mean? Like, or even if I get halfway through a book and I don't like this shit, I'll fucking stop reading because I'm like, I don't want to waste my time. But you obviously just keep going. Like, you want to, once you start, you finish.
Oh, well, yeah. I think everyone's in the same boat and that kind of stuff. So, like, there are heaps of times when I used to read 3/4 of a book and be like, oh, this is pretty slow, and then you put it down and you don't pick it back up again for another 2 months. But if you look at, like, for example, like maybe 2 weeks ago, I read Life of Pi. I think it was about 280 pages. Wow. And I got to maybe 250, and I think it was like, I don't know, 10 p.m. on Saturday. And usually I'd leave it to the next day, but I was like, fuck, I'll just knock it over and then I'll do my review.
Yeah.
Or like Sapiens. Sapiens was big. I think it was about 350 pages. And same type of issue, like where you get to 3/4 of the way. And normally you might put it down for a week or two. You might forget about it. Yeah. But because I want to make sure that I kind of stay true to the task and made sure that I actually stay on task, I just kind of knocked it over. And I think that's part of the reason why I did it in the first place, because I had to. I was accountable. Otherwise it was stupid.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I'm late to the party with reading. Like, I fucking love it now, but I just wasn't in my childhood growing up, and I kind of blame my parents for it. But I think they put me behind a book, and I just threw it away. It just wasn't for me at the time. But I mean, like, what's been the book so far that's just like kind of stood out for you that you feel like that's been, I don't know, most useful, I guess, or that you kind of like
in this round, like in this kind of project?
This round, or even just like so far from the time you started to now.
Yeah. Human Universe was really cool. So I read Human Universe, and like, if you haven't listen to my review, go listen to it after this. But Human Universe is basically gives us a little bit of indication as to where we came from biologically. It gives you a little bit of a hint of philosophy and religion, but it tells you what kind of leads us through how we became the species that not only conquered the world, but in 50 years we made it to the moon. And it was only 5 million years ago that we were only starting to emerge out of caves and come down from trees, when our cousins Neanderthals and Homo erectus and 6 other hominids evolved and just stagnated very, very quickly. It's a very, very peculiar situation that we found ourselves in. Like, how did we escalate and evolve so rapidly and drastic and quickly compared to our cousins that have pretty much remained unchanged, and most of whom are extinct now anyway. So it's an interesting read.
So how about Sapiens though? Is that along the same lines though, from what I heard as well?
Sapiens is pretty similar and pretty interesting. The only one of the main differences is that Sapiens was written by a historian.
Right.
So from a historian's perspective, he comments a lot on what we call factions. So he comments a lot on capitalism, socialism, communism, why we developed individual groups, why some kind of cultures failed where others kind of succeeded, whereas Human Universe is written by an astronomer and not a qualified mathematician or graduated mathematician, but he's very, very good with his numbers. So you get a kind of very different kind of spiel and a different kind of perspective on the same topic. Yeah, so I think that was pretty interesting.
Nice. Were you always growing up with books? Were you reading at a young age, or?
Yeah, the first series I read was Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events.
Yeah, I read that too, actually.
Did you? That was the first one I ever read. That was sick. I read Narnia, so I read all of Narnia. One that I didn't read, I read the first 2 or 3 of Harry Potter, and then I just been there. I just didn't really read it. A lot of my other mates did, but
I'm always left out of like party talk when Harry Potter comes up in books.
Bro, I just bail out.
I don't know shit, man. I'm out. And people are always shocked too, man. They're like, "What, Harry Potter?" I'm like, "Yeah, man."
I think I only actually watched them this year, all of them. Like, I think before this year, I'd only watched like 1 or 2. I haven't even seen them. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Have you seen all of them?
No, I haven't seen the last 2. I don't know why. Something happened. I just missed it, and then I just didn't go back to it. And I'm just prolonging that childhood, to be honest.
So like, I got the inside joke with Nikki because like I barely pay attention in movies. So we watched the last one.
What do you mean you don't pay attention in movies?
I just don't. I just wonder. But like this isn't a spoiler alert because it's not actually true. But at the end, I was just like, fuck! I can't believe that Snape was Harry's dad the whole time. Well, obviously, like he wasn't, but I was just like, fuck. I didn't even pay attention.
Was that because you just drifted off and then came back and just caught it at the wrong time and you just kind of assumed?
I think I didn't even drift. I was watching it, but I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if there was a mad plot twist? where it just kind of went on a
And then you
complete
kind of
insane
believed your own
day.
shit, eh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
I was like, fuck, it would
god.
have been so much better if that happened.
I mean, in overall, not just like in this book review stuff. Like, what book has actually influenced you the most? Do you think in overall? Or you kind of go back to you're like, yeah, that book, fucking yeah, that's the one.
Well,
That
you know
really...
what? Okay, so let me think. When I was a kid, the thing that I really loved was Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
And there's actually I can probably rattle off quite a lot of them off the top of my head. But
Yeah.
Dr. Seuss was something that really got me interested in literature, but like hip hop as well. So like from Dr. Seuss, it's a slippery slope to hip hop, man.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you can't love Dr. Seuss and then not go listen to some Jam Master Jay or some Run DMC or something like that. So
Yeah.
I'll probably say overall he's a really really big influence of mine. And then the most recent one, my cat here as well. You can probably see him.
Oh, nice. What's the cat's name?
And the Prophet by Khalil Gibran, which is the most recent one I reviewed. That I read that first in 2011.
The Prophet.
Sitting on my lap.
Do you
2011, I read it the first time.
Do you get cat allergies?
No, not really. Like actually, the other day I got them really bad, and it was awkward because it was probably about a month ago, and that's when Corona was really starting to become serious.
Yeah.
And like I woke up and Remy was asleep on my chest, so I
Yeah.
had mad allergies all day, and every patient I had, I'm just sneezing. I'm like, I swear I'm not sick.
Oh my god, man! Yeah. People get so fucking stiff when when you're sniffing or even slightly coughing. It's weird.
Well, a little cough, and me and you, obviously, we don't mind the dart every now and then.
No,
so if I have a couple outside and I have a little bit of a cough or something, people just look at you sideways.
Oh, bro, seriously. Yeah. I don't mind it sometimes, man. Like if I'm there coughing, people like steer away. I'm like, yeah, get the fuck away from me, bro. Like I know I'm coughing, but I know I'm not sick. But you stay away.
Exactly.
From me.
You might be fucking sick. Maybe you should get away from me.
Yeah, dead set, man. Definitely. I'll throw in a book, man. One book that I really liked was you might have read it, maybe Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
I haven't read it.
Yeah, I think I would like to see you put that in the list and give that a review. That book definitely like changed shit up for me. And he's a clinical psychologist, Jewish man during like World War II, when he obviously got captured and went to Auschwitz and all that. And he gave like a fully in detail review of how humans like take in hardcore pain or like this reality just completely changing, and it shows you the steps of like what humans go through to get through this type of situation, and really in-depth information. So I'd throw that on the list if you want to give it a read.
And that kind of stuff is really applicable, I think, even like to this Corona shit. Like when it first came out, and even now, I don't know if we're changing just culturally or just socially. We're becoming either more aware or just a lot more sensitive, because when this first came out and people were, a little bit more vocal about their mental health, staying inside all the time, the first thing I thought about was Auschwitz and like the Holocaust. I'm like, so you're telling me, and again, I might be insensitive saying this kind of stuff, particularly for people that do, and mental health obviously is a real issue, but you're telling me that staying inside in your lounge room with your dog and watching TV and on your laptop is a struggle. Yeah. And if somebody, like if a Holocaust survivor were to compare this, what are they going to say and how they're going to behave? They'd actually be appalled.
Oh, I'd be appalled. I thought it'd be a good time to read Anne Frank too, and I haven't read it either.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's all about genuine struggle, and I think that's kind of the sign of the times, and it's also a sign of how far we've come as a society, because people always say, oh yeah, first world problems, but this is an actual real life example where the whole country is now coming to a standstill and coming to a point where people are really genuinely getting cabin fever, whereas before, the Great Depression was horrible, obviously all through World War I, World War II, in the US, political tension in Nam in the 60s and 70s and stuff. But now, like if this is our equivalent of Vietnam, or if this is our equivalent of the Holocaust, I think we're going all right. And I think we're heading
that doesn't seem too bad if you compare it to that. Also, I mean, we don't know where this is going. I mean, it seems like it's kind of getting better from what I understand. I still don't fucking know. But like, if you were to compare it to like more recent history, pandemic or tragedies, like it's just pretty breezy, man. Like you can get by and do everything normally. Like you can upgrade in different skills, like, you know what I mean? Like it's opportunity to do something different. I got friends who are perfecting like fucking sourdough. I got other guys who are like yourself reading like tons of books. You know what I mean? Like it's just an opportunity to do something else. I guess people know that, but
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think people are still getting an itch to get out there and just fuck shit up as well.
Oh,
So
big time. Absolutely.
yeah,
And even like,
yeah,
as far as business is concerned, like it's affected everyone. Like I think the ABS, Australian Bureau of Statistics, came out and said like 92% of Australian businesses overall have been affected, at least in some part. So when you're
mm,
looking at every single business being affected, obviously people losing their jobs, they're coming home, they're stressed because they can't make ends meet, they're having domestics with their wife or their kids or whatever. Like I get that, but I think you're right. Like overall, I think we're doing all right, and especially now having been able to somewhat bounce back compared to
mm,
even a month ago. And by the end of the year, you're looking at pretty much being back to normal. I think we're
mm.
doing all right.
I think it'll change how we plan. Like, like everyone's like, "Oh, you're gonna go back overseas." I'm like, honestly, if I had to come back, I don't know if I can go back. You know what I mean? Like, I
Mm.
don't know how can you plan for anything anymore? You know what I mean? It's like, or how can you have
Yeah,
like a fixed plan and just go, yeah, it's gonna go exactly like this? Because obviously, shit doesn't go just like that. You know, like within a
yeah,
night, two
yeah.
weeks, things just kind of flip. So obviously, I think it's like planned, but I think it's always like people have at the back of their head that like shit could just turn real quick now. You know
Mm.
what I mean?
But again, like I don't know, you don't know if people have short memories or not. Like for you, you're pretty like limber and breezy, like and versatile.
Mm,
If you wanted to go tomorrow, you could go back tomorrow if you wanted to,
mm,
or if you wanted to come back, or if you want to go to the UK, or if you want to go to the US, like
mm,
you just whatever you kind of think of at that time, and if you think you're going to give it a crack, you give it
mm,
a crack. But there's other people that are a little bit more myopic and a little bit more rigid. They're
mm.
always going to be that way as well. I don't think a tragedy like this or a pandemic like this is going to necessarily change individuals' minds from side to side. I think if you're always going to
Mm,
be somebody who plans, you're always going to be someone who plans. If you're going to
yeah,
be somebody who lives week to week, paycheck to paycheck, a
mm,
pandemic probably is going to change that. After all this is done, you're probably going to do the same thing anyway.
yeah, that's true. No, that's true. So yeah, I mean, so you don't think people are changing for the better good in a sense?
Man, I don't know. I believe it when I
Or
see it. I
do
think
you think we're goldfish? Do you think it'll just kind of be like, oh yeah, sweet, we're all nice, and then kind of shit just goes back into this same,
absolutely. I think look,
yeah,
the media is fantastic.
yeah,
The media is such a wonderful machine of sales.
yeah,
Like they're just great at getting people to and this is what marketing is about. How can we
yeah,
get people to click on this a
yeah,
thousand times? How we can get people to tune in to every news bulletin and this and that. It's out of fear mongering, it's out of fear,
mm,
it's scaring the population, it's alarming them, etc. And once you've got their attention, you can hold it
mm,
for a certain period of time and then they lose interest. And after this is done, I honestly think people lose interest. And even now when you've got, a guy down the street who, unfortunately might be battling financially and he thinks, fuck, I should have
mm,
saved a little bit more or I should have been a little bit more attentive with how I spent my money. After
mm.
this is done in 3 months, you can't tell me he's going to save any more cash. It's going to be the same.
Yeah, yeah. A good example of that was just like I've been watching my parents go through this whole thing. You know what I mean? Like you talk about
Yeah,
media, talk about people who watch like a current affairs or Channel 9, just like your basic stock standard, like
yeah,
7 p.m. news, man. Like the
yeah,
fuck, man. You could hear the fucking the treble in their voices when they called me when I was overseas. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like it was just fucking
yeah,
dude, like scared, man, like uncertain, like what's
yeah,
gonna happen, like 1930s type depression,
yeah,
like it's
yeah,
fucking wild, you know.
yeah. Because people want to tune into that kind of stuff, man. If you're Fairfax Media, or if you're somebody that wants to make a bit of money or capitalize, you're going to capitalize on tragedies like this. Why do you think that every time you turn the TV on, they talk about bombing here, shooting there, because people
Mm,
actually have a morbid obsession with that kind of pessimism or that kind of
sure,
anti-humanism. So
sure.
that's why you don't see the good stuff very much.
No, you don't. Oh yeah, man. Well, I don't want to keep hanging out too long, but I'm real happy that you're doing the book review. I think it's a great idea, man. And it's fucking hard too, man. A book a week, like like I said before, I struggled to just get through like 100-page book within like a few months. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So the fact that you're doing it, it's for a good cause too, and I'll definitely I'm gonna try and promote it as well and throw it around for people to do it and
thanks,
look
guys.
into it. And I think it's good, man. I think it's real
But
good.
then afterwards, if you what was it called again? The meaning for man, man's search for meaning.
Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
All right, I'll have a look at that one next. I'll pop it on my list for next month.
Yeah. I don't think it's too bad. I think it's too long. I think you can buy it anywhere as well. So have a
Wait,
dig into that. But yeah, man, thanks for jumping on. We'll chat soon. I'll come over for a beer as well.
yeah, doors always open, cuz.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. All right, man. We'll talk soon, and yeah, man, we'll chat soon. All right.
But I'll speak to you.
Later, dude. Bye.